Welcome to Debating Dating, a podcast with me, Marc Jennings.
And me, Rachel Graham.
We're two friends. In every episode, we'll be discussing our differing perspectives on an aspect in modern dating.
We'll be sharing our honest insights and experiences as platonic pals who are not afraid to give each other the unvarnished truth.
Or laugh at each other's bullshit.
So this week, we're going to be chatting about summer romances.
And for the people watching the video version, we do need to let you know at the start. Basically, we started recording this episode, got a wee bit in, and then realised we weren't recording the video. So unfortunately, after an almost seamless entire first series, this episode, the first 20-30 minutes, probably depending on what makes the cut, there won't be any video for it, I'm afraid, unfortunately. But hopefully that doesn't ruin your enjoyment of this episode this week if you're watching it on YouTube. So as I say, there's no video of us for the first wee part, but for the last half at least, you'll be able to watch our faces again. So apologies about that. I'm going to blame Rachel for it because she went away to change the camera and stopped recording.
I think we did really well to get this far with how ditzy I am, you know.
We did, to be fair. You know, there's been almost no fuck ups other than the first 4 episodes where you were using the wrong mic. But
don't reveal my secrets. This is like backstage chat.
Content. This is bonus content for the people watching the video version. The audio listeners won't hear, but for the few but dedicated people who watch the video version, this is for you guys. So apologies that there's no video at the start, but it does come back on about halfway through. So sorry about that fuck up. And enjoy the episode, and thanks very much for watching. And I guess I'll just say to the video people, please do like and subscribe to the YouTube. I'll have more videos and stuff like that coming out over the summer, and then you've got the next series to look forward to. And if you have been watching every week, I don't really know, I don't get a lot of feedback on this, but if you have been watching the YouTube version of this every week, thanks for watching and enjoying it, and we'll hopefully be back soon. And we'll be putting out clips of the best bits on the YouTube as well very shortly. So, but anyway, again, apologies, no video for the first wee part, but I'll be back on about halfway through. So enjoy.
So this week we're going to be chatting about summer romances. Times that you've been on holiday or you've...
People get the point. It's coming up for... we don't need to explain every... I don't know why we always need to explain. It's coming up for summer, guys. It's the last episode of this series, so what better way could we send you off for your holly bags is probably the most revolting phrase of all the ones.
Yeah, and it came from your mouth, Marc, actually, and for once.
It came from my mouth. I'm a holly bags
kind of guy.
Full holly bags, no. No, the holidays are coming up, so we thought we'd take a look back. I mean, who knows if we'll be able to go anywhere in the summer. I think Spain, you're allowed to go to. It's probably ill-advised still, but we thought we'd have a wee look at holiday romances, talk about summer lovin', having a blast. We're all going on a summer holiday. All of these types of songs which we would like to play, but we cannot afford for royalty reasons to play on the podcast. So, but for that as a general vibe, we holiday spirit. Last day of school, we've brought our own clothes.
We have. You know when you'd bring in your board games and you'd be like, "Oh, I'm so excited to like bring in my best board game."
What was your best board game?
Maybe Twister, which actually is quite shite, isn't it?
Well, Twister, that says a lot about you, Rachel, because that is clearly the thing you play when you're just trying to get up close and personal with somebody.
Yeah, maybe my love language is physical touch and I just didn't even know it.
You're in a mug, just, in the primary class, and you're like, I'm going to get these wee lads to pay attention to one way or the other.
I won't just be their friend for once.
Absolutely, that's it. Not on the Twister board. There's no friends to be had on there.
Strategic.
So that's it. would like to say as well, I think we should take this opportunity on the last episode of the series to just say a massive thank you to like everybody who's been listening. We've been over the moon with the amount of people that have been listening every single week and commenting and obviously sending the submissions, even if we've not been able to use it. Like, we really, really appreciate like the real enthusiasm that has been from so many people for this, and we really hope you've got something out of this first series, and we're glad that we could kind of hopefully help you feel a wee bit less, like it's just you out there. Do you know what I mean? I think that's kind of part of the thing, isn't it, when you're single or whatever. Not that you would know that these days, Rachel, obviously just in the relationship, but it's like, it's nice to know that there's other people out there that are on the same boat as you, that aren't just, Tinder matches that you don't talk to or whatever.
Yeah, it's been really nice. I've particularly enjoyed being on the Instagram and having a lot of kind of interactions and like chatting to everyone, and like people have been really open and like willing to share their own experiences, or even just like continuing to chat after maybe they've given submissions, or even just generally kind of engaging. And it's just been really nice to kind of meet new people and make pals, and had a few girls who've been like, oh, we should start like a little kind of group and all this, so like maybe I'll facilitate some picnics in the park or something, that just like get to like hang out with our listeners. Is that creepy? Is that creepy of me?
Yeah.
That sounded quite creepy, but it was more people who've just moved and they were like, oh, it'd be nice to make friends. And it's nice over summer, isn't it, to like when the sun's out and to kind of connect and meet new people.
Totally. So I mean, we hope we've got you through what have probably been a barren couple of months over.
It was a long winter.
A long winter with that fucking long ass lockdown and stuff like that. So we've kind of came out of that, the dark days of early February. We're now at June, and summer's looking good, and we're hopefully things will open up, and hopefully we can go off and have some more dating experiences to come back and share with you, and hopefully you do the same in the coming months.
Yeah, it's been mad. We've been recording since December on Zoom, and this whole time we've been doing it on Zoom, and it's been mad. Like, that's the whole time we've not been allowed, it's been a lockdown and stuff, and it feels like it feels like we've been doing this podcast forever, and in a good way. Like, it feels like this has always kind of been something that we've been doing. So yeah, it's nice to think that we've spent that time together. It's been really nice, Mark, is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely, it has, and as I say, it's just been great to have like so many like listening and obviously engaging with us and stuff like that, and we really do hope these have got something out of it. And it's so we thought, what better way to do a wee send off than this week's episode, as I say, on summer romances. So we did reach out. Rachel done our usual on the Instagram, reached out to you guys, found out some of your stories to do with holiday romances and all that. We're going to look at a few aspects of not just holiday romances, like summer flings, summer holidays with pals or with parents and things like that as well, and just generally kind of get you in the mood for hot girl summer.
I was going to bring up hot girl summer.
Okay. Would you like to talk about it now?
Yeah. So basically, actually, we went to the pub, me and you, and one of my friends was like, yes, hot girl summer, we're all going to be out, we're going to be like, so like... Not
to be confused with white boy summer from, what is his name, Chet Hanks or whatever.
I missed that. What was that about?
No, how Tom Hanks' son...
Yeah.
It just was posting hundreds of mad Instagram videos, and I think in one of them he said white boy summer, and then that's where it came from.
Oh God. Yeah, but I didn't realise what hot girl summer was but it's basically just about like going out and being like young and free and single and a hot girl, right?
Yeah. Well, it sounds like the kind of summer that I would like to have anyway.
You'd be like, hey guys, can I join in?
Hot girls summer, that is definitely what I'm after. This coming break,
I know.
Where does the phrase hot girl summer actually come from?
Hot girl summer. Megan the Stallion.
Megan the Stallion.
Sorry, Megan the Stallion.
Yes.
Yeah, Megan the Stallion.
Denote the.
Yeah, it's Shakespeare shit, innit?
Is it a song she's got, or is it a lyric?
It's a song with Nicki Minaj, and it says, real hot girl shit, real ass bitch. Hot Barbie
is this
summer.
Not just WAP?
No, what Juicy say? No. He be like, shut the fuck up.
All right.
Is a phrase often used by women to describe a summer full of fun. If someone is going to have a hot girl summer, it means they're going to party, have fun with their friends, be confident and live their best life during the warmer months. I think it's like a TikTok thing as well. But I just kind of thought it was that you go and shag about as well. Like you just go and yeah.
Well, it just shows you. It does say you be you, Rachel, so whatever interpretation you have of that.
That's old me. That's old me. That's me 2 weeks ago, Mark. That's me.
Yeah, no.
Past me.
That's how you're in a relationship, there'll be no shagging whatsoever. So.
But yeah, that's Hot Girl Summer.
So that's Hot Girl Summer.
Yeah.
So, interesting. So, in the spirit of Hot Girl Summer, so we'll get started with these submissions in. So, the first one that we've got takes place on an airplane.
One time I was on a plane and I was sitting next to this really hot French communist. And we got chatting and we ended up kind of making out and then getting a little bit handsy on the plane. It was great. And then, we kind of had a bit of a, intense goodbye when we landed because, he was going that way, I was going this way. And then, I got to the subway to go into town and I saw him again. And it was really awkward because he was sitting on, the other side of the car. And, we looked at each other and then looked away, and it was a good hour and a half train ride back into the city, and we literally spent the whole time just avoiding eye contact. It was really uncomfortable.
Oh my god! First of all, how did she manage to wangle that? Because I feel like that's something that you pure think, oh, that would be so sexy to get with someone on a plane.
I thought you were going to say, how did she know he was a communist? Sitting there with the beret reading fucking Engels or some shit
goatee.
like that. Yeah. There you go.
I'm quite impressed by that story.
Well, that's sort of one of these things that people would fantasize about, a wee bit of, Mile High Club and all that kind of stuff. That's always the thing that you always think, oh, that'd be class to do. But how would you ever make that happen?
I know.
I feel like she's got to have kind of...
She's got to have kind of instigated move. That, yeah.
You would hope so, do you know what I mean? Because, if you're a guy and you're trying to initiate some sort of sexual liaison with somebody you've just met on a plane...
So uncomfortable.
I mean, the stakes are pretty high there. You're taking a big risk, but,
But think about it, think how exciting that would have been, because, because she didn't say, but, if you kind of... Maybe she kind of went and touched his hand at first, and it was all this kind of, baby steps for that to happen,
Let me just help you your seatbelt.
Yeah. Honestly.
Just give it a good tug.
I've done so much. Oh God, sorry. I just didn't even register with me. I don't know. Oh, gross. I've done a lot of going and flying by myself, and and I'm always beside the children who are screaming to Australia and stuff. I'm really unlucky.
I know, and see on a long haul flight as well, inevitably at some point you're probably going to get a wee bit, horny or something like that. And especially if there was maybe an attractive person nearby or something, and your mind starts to go, oh, imagine all these scenarios. And they, I don't know, take it they must have had to have been sitting next to each other or something, and then it's got going. But that'd be pretty cool. I mean, I don't know how they would do it that subtly. I guess wouldn't it just kind of
there must have been no one in how it's ABC, the aisle. There must have been no one in the aisle seat, because how awkward would that have been? Sometimes
you get those covers as well and all that, and you could maybe be under the covers and all that, maybe if it's a long haul flight. But I think the Mile High Club though for me is definitely something. I think that's a good bucket list thing.
Oh really? I think in reality it would be so shit. Think how tiny the little things are, and also I don't know, I think the idea of doing something maybe in public is really exciting, but I know for a fact I wouldn't want to do it. I'd be too scared of getting in trouble.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, for a fact it's not that good because you've done it and it wasn't.
No, I'm too scared. Honestly, I'm too scared to do anything like that. Yeah.
No, I think it's really cool. I think the idea of it, but I used to always think because obviously, see if you're on a long distance flight, it's a bit different. And you can go downstairs on some planes to need to go to the bathroom. You can actually do it because, see if you're ever on a Ryanair flight to Dublin or London or something like that, and it's just basically the only bathrooms are like right at the front of the plane or at the back.
Yeah.
I used to always go like, how would nobody notice? Do you know what I mean? Like if they would just go in together, it's like obviously going to notice, but obviously in these planes you can do it. And I just think I think it's kind of like, this is something I'll get to later on. Like it's similar, the Mile High Club, to like it'd be like shagging in the sea, right? Which is also not as fun as it sounds.
Have you done it?
I'll get to that later, right? But I think logistically and all that, it'd be hard, but I think just the thrill of it would make it worthwhile. And also just to say that, you know, it's an exclusive club literally to be in, you know, a Mile High Club. You get your wee Emirates card on it when you go off the flight, apparently. I don't know. But no, I think that'd be quite cool. What I thought though about that submission night was like, because obviously that's just happened on the flight, kind of spontaneous thing. And then it's funny how as soon as they were off, even though they were both kind of like, I take it they were at the destination they were going to, already it was like,
back to reality.
No, it's over.
Yep.
And that was a good microcosm of like what a holiday romance usually is, isn't it? Because like so often, you know, when you're at the resort or whatever the hell you are, and it's the people there and you hook up, and it's right at that time in that environment. But as soon as you both get back to Scotland and you live, you know, 10 miles away from each other, and you're kind of like, nah, do you know what I mean? Like, it just seems, it was a time and a place, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that was that in microcosms, I say, because it was literally just, it wasn't even the place, it was just the flight. And then as soon as they're off the plane, they're like, oh, that was weird, wasn't it?
I think it's the heat. I do, honestly, I feel like I've said this before, but you know when you like go on holiday and then you get off the plane and then you get that big like waft of like hot air and you're just like, I can relax, I can let my hair down, I can enjoy myself. And I think the reverse is whenever you get the plane back and you land and it's grey and drizzly and you just think, I'm gonna have to go back to work. And I do think it's that kind of thing of like all of your responsibilities just come flooding back. So obviously with this submission, they've been like, maybe this isn't going to actually work out, and we're at that. But I think it's so awkward to like pretend it didn't even happen. Like I think sometimes it's hard to gauge. Like sometimes it is better to kind of not acknowledge someone if there's been an awkward thing. Like I think I've done that on many occasions. And now,
really?
I mean, you know if something's happened and then I'm trying to think of an example, but yeah, like if something's going to happen and you're like, oh God, like probably shouldn't have. And, you know, we both kind of are a bit kind of like feeling weird about it. Sometimes it's just better to pretend that it didn't happen at all.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you actually had a really funny story when I was in Australia, right? Basically, I'd went on this date to the beach with this lassie, right? And we went and it was... it kind of just was like we just didn't really click, right? We went to the beach and I was too scared to go in the water with the sharks. Right? So I think she was like, "Fucking this guy."
Was she
what's this
Australian?
guy about? She was Australian, yeah. And then we went for lunch and all that, but nothing kind of happened, and we never followed it up, right? So, one of my last nights there, in the same in Perth, right, and I was doing this gig and I was on stage and like halfway through my set, I noticed she was in the front row with some other guy. And like, as soon as I clocked her, I just had to stop and be like, because she the whole time is obviously on, and I had to just tell the whole audience like the script and all that. And then I was just like, and obviously I wasn't really that bothered about the date and whatnot, but I just pure obviously played up to the fact of like, oh, you've moved on, you know, like, quickly, and like, and then like they were all pure, and I was like, oh, I never text you back and all that sort of stuff. And then like I was just kind of like going, like I was just sort of winding them both up about it, and she was pure howling, and like the guy, I was just saying to the guys like, oh, I fucking, well done and all that, and like you've got further than me and all that kind of stuff, and just wait till she never texts you back and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it must have been like a couple of weeks or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it was just funny that that was the case. Like, it was actually one of the funniest things that's ever happened on stage, because like, as I say, because I just played up to it and made it as if I was pure like gutted and and I was pure. I was saying to the guy, it's like, just wait till she doesn't text you back and all this kind of stuff. Like, it was dead funny.
God. I had a thing when I worked behind the bar at the stand where a boy that I fancied like all through like every year in primary school, and then kind of first year, like I just always kind of fancied him. And he came in and sat in the front row, and he was pure chatting to the compere. And then I was like pally with the compere, so I was saying, oh, that's so funny, like see that guy who you're chatting to, like I was pure in love with him all through primary school.
Oh my god.
And then he went back out after the break and was like, oh, so you know Rachel behind the bar, she was like in love with you all through primary school. And I'm standing there, and the whole audience just turned and looked at me, and I was like that. And that was an occasion where once that had happened, when he went to leave, he was like, did not acknowledge me, like was probably like, well, like was just kind of like, was like, bye, like didn't be like didn't come up and go, oh my god, that was so funny. He was just like, oh, bye. And I was just like, bye. Yeah, that did not happen. Please do not tell your pals.
That is the worst possible thing that he could have done as well. That
I know.
You must have felt awful after that. Oh my god.
Do you know what? I didn't actually, because I didn't like fancy him, and like I didn't fancy him at the time, and I was a bit kind of like, I don't really care.
It was, you were kind of laughing at the fact that
I was kind of laughing, but I think he was maybe, I think he was more embarrassed, which is maybe more of a reflection. Maybe that is, but worse.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those things where I was like, why did I tell the compere? Like he'd obviously was going to use that. I just didn't think.
Such a schoolboy error, definitely. It is almost like if you had a one night stand with someone or whatever, and then you see them like, you know, a bit further down the line, and it's kind of like, you know, what do you say in that? Do you know what I mean? Because it was just that one thing, and then you had moved on with your life or whatever, and it was, you know, and that's kind of the thing with holidays, whereas it's like a time and a place where it's just one night in a bar or whatever, or you know, on a holiday or something. Yeah. So it's just funny how quickly
it's like
you get the
out
pure shame. It's like as soon as they get off the plane, it's like, oh, they're out of the trance or whatever, because they're like, you know, they say they kind of what is it they do? They sort of manage the air in the planes. Like as soon as they get the right amount of oxygen again, they're like, oh fuck, what was I thinking?
I know. Do you know what's funny actually? I when I was maybe about like 20, had a night in a club, and I was like kissing this guy, like basically from the beginning of the club night, just started kissing this guy, and then we were kissing basically the full night until like the lights went up. Oh, that's another thing, isn't it? When the lights go up and you're like, oh my god. You're like, it's not the way they look or the way you look, it's just like it's like the bright light, it's like back to reality, and you're like, fucking hell, I'm actually quite pissed, and this is it's almost like just sobers everybody up instantly for a wee second, like, oh shit, like fucking you know, you're in this trance in this dark place, and then, you know, it's like,
the lights come on and you're like, oh, I said no fucking, the music's off, you know, like the whole vibe is different.
Totally. It's like really stark. But I was kissing that guy like the full night, to the point where it got like, there was like a picture taken, you know, when they put it up on their Facebook, like the venue,
the club.
But anyway, it was so we were kissing the full night, so that would have been like a long time. I don't know how many hours that would have been, but obviously it was just, but we didn't speak at all, we just kissed the full night. And then literally the next day I was just walking down the street, and he walked past me, but it was one of those things where, because it was a night out, I didn't actually really recognise him, but I was like, could see him from miles away, and I was walking up to him, and I was thinking, how do I know this guy? That's so weird, like I must know him somewhere. And I was about to say hi, thinking, oh, he'll be from school or something like that, and then I kind of was like looking at him, and then he looked at me, and then we both recognised that it was each other, and then we both kind of gave ourselves like a kind of like half smile, but it was kind of that thing of being like, this isn't gonna be a thing, but I'm gonna just acknowledge it.
Do you know I think it's kind of weird, right? This might be a weird thing. It might sound weird to say, right? But see if you've ever been in that kind of scenario you've just described, where like you're just, you know, you're kind of kissing somebody all night or something. See, because you basically, your face is so close to them the whole night. Yeah. People up that close look different than when you just see them you know, from a couple of yards away. So, like, I could understand that if you were maybe doing that with somebody, you wouldn't even recognise them for 10 feet away or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, people just look that, like, people do take on a sort of different look when you're that close to them for that amount of time.
And what they're wearing, because I actually remember that he was wearing like a kind of like a deep red jumper with, remember those patches, like elbow patches?
Yeah,
And it was pure.
they were big for a while.
Yeah,
Man.
and I remember him wearing that, and so the full night I was thinking, oh, I'm kissing the elbow patches guy. So then obviously when I saw him in a different top, I was like, don't know who that
And
is.
then you come back to the bathroom and you're like, oh my god,
they're everywhere.
It's like, there's so many of them.
I'm like, I didn't realise I was kissing everyone.
Yeah. Now, this next one is actually a couple that go on holiday in a certain scenario that makes it a wee bit more awkward when things don't quite go to plan.
My boyfriend's family at the time paid for me to go to the Dominican Republic with them for Christmas, and we had not so great of a time. On Christmas Day, we were sitting with a beautiful view of the mountains and beach and decided it was time for us to end it. But we still had about 4 days left of our trip, and we decided not to tell his family because it'd be awkward. So it was a very hard last 4 days, pretending to be together and having to sleep in the same bed and everything. And then in the last 2 days, they surprised us with a trip to a resort hotel. And I remember just finally being able to cry and not have to hold it in. But it was really hard, and I do not recommend at all.
Oh my god, that's so uncomfortable. I do think when you go on holiday, it's so intense. Like, you do have to really, like, it is a good test of relationship because, you know, there's so much admin, there's so much like stuff that's kind of out of the ordinary. But there's nothing worse, because I think I'm a big advocate for when you break up with someone that it's a clean cut and you need to be away from them. So imagine having to like share a bed.
Yeah, totally. And then the added pressure of the parents being there as well, like that's brutal, man. Like,
oh my god, because you have to be on best behaviour with parents.
Yeah, and then see just like, you know, have the relationship end when you're with them and all that kind of stuff. Like it's almost like I always feel like that way. Like if a relationship's not going that well, like see when you add things like parents and meeting the parents and all these things into the mix, that's just such an added level of pressure, and it almost feels like you're putting more pressure on things because then you've got this relation. It's not just them. You know their folks, and it's this whole web that you need to untangle yourself if you don't want to be there anymore.
I know, it's so weird.
Especially when they've taken you on the holiday.
Yeah.
To then be like, oh, I've just split up with your son or whatever.
And the money and all that. Oh my god, I know. Do you know what's that made me think of is my ex-boyfriend never wanted to go on holiday, and it was like really important to me that like I really wanted to like travel and have these experiences, and I wanted to have those experiences with a boyfriend, and he just didn't want to do it. But anyway, I convinced him to go to like a little like cottage thing, like maybe in like it was maybe like 2 hours north of Glasgow, like it wasn't even far. And I just remember, so this was one of our, actually I think this must have been a bit later on in the relationship, but I had put so much, I think I'd maybe paid for it because I think I'd made it like a present, but I mean it was definitely a present for myself as well. But I just have this real memory of like being like, oh, we're gonna have such a good time, like like I'm so excited, we're actually going on holiday together, it's gonna be perfect. And then my takeaway memory from that holiday was just me screaming at him saying, I hate you. It was one of those things.
Oh my god.
I don't get angry, do I? Like I never, well, sometimes I do, but I've maybe been angry with you maybe like once or twice, and I don't really get angry with people. And
what happened there? How did that end up happening?
So I was so tired. I was doing my masters, right?
By the way, that's why guys don't want to go away on holiday.
I know, I'm like, why do they not want to go away? I hate you. Basically I was doing all the things for the holiday. I was really stressed with the drive, and he kept falling asleep, and then I asked him to do something, and then he just didn't do it, and I remember like striding down the stairs and just being like, I hate you. And then I remember him being like pure shocked, and it was one of those things where I was like, I can't believe I've like been so excited for this holiday, and then I've kind of ruined it by shouting at him. I mean, he was being annoying, but
it's kind of like you just wanted to create your own chaos there. That sounds like what you've done.
No, I wanted a perfect
forced
time.
this guy to go to a thing he doesn't want to do, and then get annoyed at him when he doesn't want to contribute.
But don't you think he should, like, I do think it was bad that I had to do everything.
No, that is true. No, I can understand that. That's fair enough.
But I just think it's so funny. It's proper, like, you know, you put this idea of like holidays just being perfect, and it's the times where the most like hell goes on, and especially with like dating and couples and all that, where you're just like, this is a real fucking bad situ.
I think you need to. It is a big deal to go away on holiday with someone, I would say, because and like I was a couple of years ago, I was like seeing a girl, and we were like, she was living down south, and so we'd only see each other every couple of weeks or something like that when she'd come up, and then we decided for the summer, let's go away, and we were both bits kids, so we went away like Airbnb up the Highlands, right, and it was dead lovely and nice, had a pure lovely time, right, but then when we get back, and I was like early 20s at this point, wasn't really sure about a lot of things in life, and then she was kind of like, right, so when we got back, it's like, what's happening kind of thing, and I didn't really know, you know, I wasn't probably thinking about a relationship or something like that. It was just we were having a nice time, and I suppose there was no reason not to, but like, I don't know, I didn't really know whether we should, and so, but that really hit me of like, oh, you can't go away, like once you go away and have a lovely wee weekend or whatever like that,
it needs
it's
to
a kind of,
progress.
it's like a point of no return a wee bit, and so we did end up. What was weird is that I said at the time I wasn't really ready, right? But she'd actually left her bag in my car, right? And she was on this night out and went to give her the bag back. And when I seen her, especially after all that lovely time that we just had, I just couldn't. I just remember feeling like, oh, I can't no see her again. Do you know what I mean? And it's all these, and so we ended up going out and all that sort of stuff. And it was good. It was probably the right thing to do in the end. But like, it was just one of those things where I probably wasn't thinking along those lines, and then as soon as the holiday, it's like, you know, it's a kind of like, right.
You can't go away and then come back and not see them again.
Yeah. No, but I mean, even like to just, it needs to either get serious from that point or not, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I always remember that night just like pure, because I was dead upset, and then I had to go and see her again, and then I did, and I was like, you know, it was nice actually the way it worked, it was quite a nice wee way it worked out in the end, but I just like, it's just but it did just teach me like, oh, you know, a holiday,
you
like
need
if
to
things
be
aren't that
prepared.
serious,
a
holiday is the next step to, you know, a proper relationship, I suppose. So like, I would say if you're, you know, tread carefully in that regard with these things, because if you're not that serious about it, then it's the kind of thing. Again, it's like meeting the parents or something. It's like anything that kind of ups the stakes. Do you know what I mean? Like, you need to understand like that's going to happen, and so like that's why there's no point in like fucking about. Because the thing is, see if you're just like sort of, you know, you hate the word seeing, right? But see if you're just kind of seeing somebody casually, and it's fine, and you might not be really looking for it to go anywhere. But see if that just then rolls on, the longer the time goes on, that's like a length of time where you're like, you know, this kind of is a relationship now, basically. Do you know what I mean? The amount of time you've just spent together and all that kind of stuff. So and I think that's basically how most relationships start. Do you know what I mean? But apart from going away with your parents, like the only other thing you would kind of do in terms of holidays is when you go away with the school.
Yeah, actually, that's funny. I had like a school summer holiday romance, and like, yeah, it was definitely like, it was when I was in 5th year, and basically I'd liked this guy for like a really, really long time, but he'd always had a girlfriend, and it became like a thing where everyone was kind of like, oh, you two clearly like really like each other, and like everyone was kind of talking about how it was quite bad actually, because we were like so clearly, you know, really flirting with each other, but he had this girlfriend. And then I was thought I was pure in love with him and all this kind of stuff, and I was just waiting for him to break up with her. So this would have been like, what would have been like maybe May, so it was just about to become summer. And every 2 years in my school there would be like a school trip to Italy, where it was like the music department, so it was just everyone who like played instruments or who were in bands and all this kind of stuff, or in
all
choir.
the cool people,
all the cool kids, aka me.
Yeah.
So basically every 2 years you went to Italy with the school, and I really, really liked this guy. And my friend had this house party in the south side, so we all got the bus to the south side, crossed the river, and it was like this really big party, and it was such a big deal, and everyone was going, and I knew that this guy that I really liked was going, and I knew, this sounds terrible actually, but I knew that his girlfriend wasn't going, and I was like, oh my god, like I wish you'd break up with her and go out with me and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, so there was this party, and it was like pure summer night, everything was like pure, I was really excited to see him and stuff. And then it turned out that his girlfriend like ended up that she could come, and I remember being like really gutted and being like, oh, it's gonna be so awkward, because there's like kind of rumors around the school that like we're talking and stuff, which is actually quite bad, but obviously like nothing happened, but then she kind of arrived, and I was thinking, oh, this is weird, and I just got really really drunk and ended up like kissing this boy, this other boy in my class, and we ended up like going down a lane and like pure kissing, and he gave me like loads of fucking love bites and stuff, which, how weird are love bites? Like, they're so weird that you're pure like, really, at the time you're like, this is the coolest thing to do, and it's actually so gross.
Never a good idea, really.
I know, but obviously little me, you know, we've spoken about before of me being like, you know, loving a little kind of show off moment. So, you know, I was like, I've got love bites. Ha 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 ha. So I was all about it. So then ended up kissing this guy, getting loads of love bites. And then I remember like coming out of the lane and coming round the front of the house and walking down, and then the guy that I liked was like really really angry and upset, and was like chatting to all his friends, being like, can't believe Rachel would do this to me and all this kind of stuff. Bear in mind he had a girlfriend, but he was like, oh, I can't believe, and he was like really upset and angry that I'd like kissed someone else. And then what happened was I went back inside, and then I started crying because I was like, I've ruined my chances with him. And then the girlfriend of the guy that I liked, she started crying because she saw that he was really upset and that I was really upset, and clearly there was something going on. So basically there was like 3 rooms of all 3 of us crying to our friends. It was really, really bad. Like, he wasn't crying, but...
It sounds like the sort of pattern that then happened again and again in different sort of ways throughout the rest of your adult life, right?
What? No, it doesn't.
It sounds very, you know, it kind of sounds like a sort of scenario that I could imagine happening, you know.
There have been a few times that I've waited for someone to become single. That is true.
No, I just mean even these parties and that, like, do you know what I mean? Like, just when if you're like, well, I like this guy and he's not, so I'll go for this guy, and then it got all this chaos again. Just like, it just sounds like a very familiar sort of scenario, aye.
God, I haven't even recognised that myself. This is like therapy, Mark.
I know. Listen, that's what this whole podcast has just been basically me just going, and how did that make you feel? You know, psychoanalysis, 20 hours of psychoanalysis has been, and the verdict is in. You are unfortunately playing up to the trope of the female psycho, I'm afraid to say.
Well, I think I need to stop kissing people, as that is what I've learned from that story, ruining parties. So I basically ruined that party, and then he like
again, not the first time you've done that.
Oh, I don't think I ruined. I think I don't ruin parties.
Nah.
You're
a good laugh, to be fair, at a party.
Yeah.
Bring a jovial atmosphere to proceedings, I would say.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Mark.
Until you start greeting at the end because some guy didn't like you.
That is actually very accurate. So then basically went to sleep on the landing and got a text from the guy that I liked, who accidentally texted me being like, oh, Rachel kissed so-and-so and I'm heartbroken or whatever. Bear in mind he had a girlfriend, so it was quite bad. And then he's like, oh shit, that wasn't meant for you. Likely story. And then, anyway, the next day we all had to share the bus back to the West End. Like, we were all sitting next to each other. So it was like me, this guy, the guy that I kissed, the guy that I liked, girlfriend, we're all sitting next to each other in like complete silence on this bus. Anyway, the next day he broke up with the girl. And then 2 days later, we all had to go on this school trip. and we like got on the bus, and it was like a 2-day bus to Italy. So we were all kind of sitting, and me and him, he was like really angry with me for kissing this guy, so he kind of wasn't really speaking to me, and people weren't kind of speaking to me. Some people weren't speaking to me because they thought what I did was quite shit, which maybe is fair enough. And then
want to kiss a guy who's not got a girlfriend?
It was complicated.
And then make a big deal and make it obvious to the girlfriend of the guy
it was a
who
bit
had
shit on the girlfriend. I think I think I was the bad guy in that scenario.
Yeah. Oh my god, I've ruined my chances with your boyfriend by getting over this other girl.
That's pretty much what happened. That's really bad, isn't it?
Yeah, because you've got the 2 options and she's got like, the one she's got doesn't even want to be, she wants to be with you, so.
I know. Yeah, oh god, yeah.
Bringer of chaos, that's what you are. That just sounds like...
I didn't realise I was such a chaotic energy. Fucking
that's
hell.
It. Fuck going on a holiday with you, that's what happens. You're either telling people you hate them, or, you're just, ruining relationships. What the hell kind of drama do you bring?
I think now I'm in a relationship, I feel like I can just relax and show my true awful self, and this is not good. Fuck. But
God help him.
God help him. Yeah, he's a good boy. He's a good boy. But yeah, so anyway, so then it was a school trip, and basically we all were like on the bus, and it turned out that he'd broken up with that girl. So we were sitting like kind of close to each other on the bus, and he kind of started to kind of chat to me and all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then we got me to swap places with his friends so that we could sit next to each other on the bus. And then we like had our first kiss on the bus, and then became like a couple like straight away, like pretty much that night. There we go. So that's the start of the trend. But then it was really like so intense, and because it'd been like a year of like us kind of speaking for ages and him like not breaking up with the girl and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, then we were on this school trip, and we were like, it became this big thing that everyone was like, oh my god, they're together, and da 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 da, and we were like always together, and I kept on sneaking into his room. We were just kissing, but basically the teachers found out, and we got like banned from each other. So literally we were like told that we weren't
Rachel, if you give one more boy love bites on this trip.
That's honestly what it was like. It was really bad. We were totally banned from each other on this thing, and there's like a picture of us like handing each other something as if it's like a drug deal and all this. Like we were being so dramatic. Oh, and then we also, when we were in the pool, because obviously no one could kind of like keep us away from each other in the pool, I was pure like had my legs wrapped around it and was like kissing him in the pool and all. So I was like, these teachers must have fucking hated me. Like, why was I such a little minx?
Yeah, you were. It sounds like it.
Yeah, but I got my comeuppance because I realised that this story is so awful and I sound like a complete horrible person. But I 100% got my comeuppance because it was a horrible relationship, and he cheated on me with the ex, that the original ex. So
kind of get your karma there, to be fair.
I really 100% got my karma. So sure. Hands up. But yeah, that was like my only real like that felt like such a summer intense. We're so into each other. We're like in the hot sun and all this kind of stuff. So yeah.
I once got a wank on the back of the bus going to Alton Towers. And like, see at the time, I didn't even really think anything of it, but see looking back now, there is no way those teachers did not know that happened.
Oh, I thought I was bad as my legs wrapped around him, fully clothed.
No.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. And the worst part about it was, as soon as we got off the bus, never spoke to that lassie again, just like the people on the plane. No, that's not true. That's not true. Did you ever go on a girls' holiday?
Yeah, I went to Kavos.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it was
How
so
was it?
cheap. Do you know what? It was the perfect, I mean, it was truly awful. Like, when you look back on those lads holidays and you're just like, how bad? Like, it was very much like booze cruise. You'd wear the little schoolgirl, you'd wear the little shirt, and you'd write on each other's shirts and little like mini skirts and like geek glasses and all this kind of stuff, and like
I mean,
proper.
That sounds good to me, to be honest. I don't know what the fucking problem is. Like,
it was just a bit gross.
I had a great time on my I went on a lad's holiday every year after like every summer during uni with all my mates fail at school though, and that's just some amazing times and just amazing laughs and all that, and like went to like just pure the usual Magaluf, Mali, Ayia Napa, these places, and
did you go on quite a few?
I went on 4 in 3 different places, so I loved them. I thought it was just, I had a good like group of pals that were all up here, good laugh, and there'd just be so many daft, and it was that age where you're like just so daft and everything's so new to you as well, that it was just, I had a great time on those holidays.
Yeah, I do think it's like a rite of passage, isn't it? Like you do need to do it, and I think that I went not the year after school, but I went the following year with my college friends, and I do think it was important. I'm pretty sure I had like my first one night stand on one of them.
Oh, did you? In Cavos?
In Cavos.
What happened?
It might be my second, but it definitely felt very new. Yeah, so basically it was so grotty, like it was so rank. It was just like really cheap and horrible, and basically everyone there was Scottish as well. So it was just one of those things where it was just like we started hanging about with these boys from Fife. Yeah. And it was just that I like slept with one of them on like the first night. But because we slept together on the first night,
it's a long fortnight after that where you're not speaking to each other.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Well, it wasn't that we weren't speaking to each other, but God, this sounds terrible. This sounds really bad. But basically, like, that happened one night. Did it happen twice? I think it happened once or twice. And then we were still hanging about with all his pals, but then he kind of stopped, like, coming out. I think he maybe started going out, like, with someone else or something like that. But at the time, I remember being like, wait, like, where is he? Is he coming out tonight? Trying to be really, like, casual, but, like, also being like, is he coming out? And, like, he never came out again.
There you go.
I must have been so shy for him to literally, like, stop hanging about with his friends.
Just, it's the first night, then it's like,
Fucked it. Absolutely fucked it.
You fucked it. I remember, I'll tell you 2 stories, because one, so my second year that I went away, it was after I'd like split up with this girl that I was sort of seeing when I was young, and like I was pure wanting to get back with her, right? And she clearly wasn't interested. But basically, I was away with all my mates, and like basically all her mates except her, and some of them went out with my pals. Not were all there. So like that whole time, as if she would even care. But I didn't even look at another girl, right? I didn't. Yeah. Didn't even try anything with anything or anything like that. So the whole 2 weeks I was just, I wasn't looking like nothing happened. We didn't kiss anybody, didn't nothing. And because I was like, as if trying to like, I think partly I was trying to like make it look as though I was pure sad that, whatever, but also I was trying to be like, no, I only have eyes for her and all that. So it's a pure opposite of what I should have been doing, by the way. I would definitely 100% recommend, when you're young and all that stuff, like the best thing to do would to just go and meet other people and have different experiences and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's pure pathetic. But the last one I was on, I had a nice wee story, man. So it's like, well, to be honest, like, it was the same thing. We were both in this hotel, and there was a big group for Aberdeen of guys and girls, and there was this lassie that I quite fancied, and I remember I spoke to him the first night they got there, and I was like, but one of my other mates, this good looking guy, that, and he was kind of sitting there, and I thought, I'm not going to have a chance with her, he's just going to get with him. But we were actually getting on really well, and I was like, I thought, this is the longer I stay here, the higher the chance that this is going to peter out or whatever. So that night in particular, I just went to bed. I was like maybe midway through the holiday, and I just thought, I'm just going to head off, we'll see you later, sort of thing. And I thought, well, maybe they'll hook up or whatever. But I thought, I'm cashing my chips while I'm winning. Do you know what I mean? Like, we seem to be getting on quite well. I just went away, and then so that was a good move, because then it was like you're saying, it's like with the guys, like, oh, is he about? Where is he? Sort of thing, and he was never there, and it made you kind of like probably wanting more a wee bit. So that was a good move to get out while I was doing well, and then we kind of progressed. And then by the end, we ended up, I think one night we ended up like drinking. Like we went back after, like we were out in the clubs, and we went back and we were sitting in the wee porch things that you get, the wee balconies and all that stuff, and we drank, and then it was like getting towards the morning, and we went down to the beach, and then we went in the sea, and like ended up like shagging in the sea, which is not fun, by the way. Like it's definitely not fun. Like it's
well, especially because you're so scared of sharks.
it's
Were
just
you like
legit.
that?
Well, this was in like, I don't know, Greece or something. They didn't have sharks in there.
There might have been sharks.
But do you know what was funny though? Because that happened and it was logistically just awkward and stuff like that. And then it was getting quite sun. It was by the time it was almost getting sunny again. So we were like, had to kind of, and there's people on the beach and all that. You're always quite aware of them. But it was quite a cool wee novelty thing to do. But then like she went to like the beach like the next day or something, get stung with a jellyfish, and I was like,
did she?
Yeah, I was like, oh God's sake. But do you know what? It was then nice, and we ended up having another couple of nights. Like it was towards the end of the holiday, and did a nice couple of nights there. And then I actually went up and like I went up to Aberdeen and
did you?
Aye, after it, and like we hung out and stuff like that. It was nice actually. Aye, and it was quite a nice wee thing, but it felt at the time because probably I think Aberdeen is like the furthest I've ever drove at that point, so it felt like a pure mission. I remember like when I told my mates like, oh really, like as if it's pure try hard, but it was a nice wee, it's nice to go up and because I think like our parents had went away for the weekend or something that was not long after the holiday, so she kind of invited me up, and I should actually say there was a really romantic moment actually then, and we went on it. There's like a mid roller. You got a Ferris wheel and went around the Ferris wheel and all that sort of stuff, and it was dead nice. And
that's a
there's
nice
heart of gold
one
in there somewhere. I know.
It's only taken 20 episodes to get there, Mark, but we're chatting about romantic moments.
Aye, that's it. That's a romantic moment in Ayia Napa, shagging on the sea. That's about as romantic as it gets for me. So we're going to have a listen to our last submission now. Now I've not actually heard this last one, but all I know about it is it involves a waiter abroad. So that's all I'll say about it, and we'll have a listen and see what happens in this last one.
So when I was 18, I went on holiday to Turkey with my mum and my sister, who was about 14 at the time. Prior to this, I had just been dumped by my high school sweetheart. As you can imagine, I was just so depressed and my life was over. Anyway, so we went to this restaurant and there was a quite hot Turkish waiter. So he kept serving us and blah, 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 and giving me the eye and all this. And
But can I just say, right, how often do you think these guys must do this? Like, see these waiters and these bars and hotels and all that, it's like they'll make every person that comes in, week on week, they'll treat them like,
they're
the
so
one
special.
and all that. And then it's like, because even it's like people that end up getting in relationships with these waiters abroad and all that sort of stuff, like, you've had that 1 week with them or whatever, but how many other times do you think they've done that? Like...
Yeah, do you know, I had that actually. So I went on holiday with my mum when I was maybe like 22, and it was like there was a bar guy in the place, and he kept on giving me like free drinks and kind of like giving me like sticky eyes. Have you heard that term? Like pure like
sticky eyes?
Yeah.
Does that mean just looking at you for longer?
Yeah, but like, when it pure lingers and all this kind of stuff. So I was thinking, oh my
creepy
God.
Eyes,
like,
it should be called.
Well, but he was quite hot, isn't that the way?
So yeah, so it's not creepy if you like them. Even though there's absolutely no difference in the behaviour. No difference.
But I was like, oh my God. So literally he kept on like being like that to me, and I was thinking, oh my God, like he I feel like he might fancy me. And then the next day he was like doing it to my mum, and I was like,
yeah,
I'm like giving my mum free drinks and giving my mum all this, and I was one of those things where I was just like, oh, I'm not the one.
I know, is that not just the equivalent of like, I think the stripper really likes me? Do you know what I mean? Like, they're just doing it for the tips. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, sometimes it must be like a thing.
It must play on your ego though, because that is that thing. That's why all guys think like, oh, the stripper really likes me. I'm special and all that. And it's like that way when you're in the restaurant and it's the gorgeous barmaid or waiter or whatever, and it's like oh, they're just like, they're just slaving away, but then they see me and I'm here to brighten up their life or whatever, and you're like, no, come on, like, I mean, they literally, they just get people coming in and out all the time. They probably have like a couple of people a day that, that think that they're going to be the one to just save them and all that stuff and give them their number and all the rest of it. Back to in Turkey, Turkish waiter, giving her the eyes.
You just think you're really, really special. You know, obviously, like, oh my God.
What did I just say, by the way?
I know.
You just think you're really, really special. That's exactly what they do. They must do that trick over and over again.
Never look at anyone else like that. Like, he must absolutely, legit, he must love me. So we would keep going back to this restaurant, and then he asked if he could like take me for a walk, or, you know, meet me here, or do this after he'd finished work. And my mum, she wasn't happy about it, but I was 18, so what can she do, really? Bear in mind, I'd never done it.
Chuck you out of the house, probably.
He took me to the beach, and there was this little pier section. He's telling me, okay, let's have sex. I'm like, oh, here? So it wasn't particularly private, right?
Bit forward, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like, let's go for some walks. Let's have
Straight
sex
away.
here.
Yeah. Also, again, how many people do you think he's taking here?
I know. It's just a shame because I do think when you have your first boyfriend breakup, I do think you feel particularly vulnerable. You feel particularly down. So it's just such a shame that this is like, I mean, I'm anticipating it's not going to end well.
Well, let's find out.
And I was like, it's going to be so uncomfortable. So anyway, we got a sunbed, and he pulled it up along to this pier bit where during it, these boats were coming in and docking like on the pier, which was...
Let's hope the boats were the only thing docking. Do you know what that is? No.
I'm just giving you a little laugh.
Look up the sexual term docking after this.
Should I do it now?
No. Let's leave a little for the listener. Okay.
Highly mortifying, but he was like, no, let's finish. And I was like, what the hell, no? But we finished. And then, looking a bit weird, right? And he was talking about taking me to this club, and my sister asked if she could come along, because my mum also had met someone. That sounds like so awful. Like, it sounds like we're all just holding out. But she didn't. She wasn't doing it. She just was going for a walk with this guy. I think it was the owner of the restaurant. Right?
Well, she was meant to be going for a walk as well, and look how that turned out. So, pretty sure the owner of that restaurant knows that spot next to the docks as well.
A walk.
That's funny. Do you know the thing is? It's funny because her mum was probably saying the exact same thing to herself about what her daughter was doing. They're just going to walk. They won't really do anything. And then
Just a wee walk.
the both of them are shagging the fucking, whole staff of that restaurant.
So he was like, well, why don't you bring your sister? So they don't really care about the fact, like, 14-year-olds being in a club. It's not really that much of an issue.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So obviously she was not allowed to drink, and I was keeping an eye on her. So we got into this club, and he was just acting so weird, and I had realised he was definitely on something. So then he had gone to the toilet and came back, and this other guy had just been chatting to me and my sister, but there was nothing really sinister about it. He wasn't trying to come on to us or anything like that. But then the guy that I was seeing came out and went fucking ballistic. So him and this guy got into like a severe fight, and then the next thing I know, like, the guy got stabbed by the guy I was seeing, and then he had fled the scene and whatever. So it turns out he's carrying a bloody knife, stabbing people. I mean, I'm pretty sure he was a criminal, because then he had to like run because the police were obviously on his tail. But for some reason, I still thought that he was a good guy. I didn't get to see him before I left, and he was like ignoring my calls and all of this stuff. He then was like phoned and said that he was in a real pickle and really needed money. So obviously 18, I didn't really have money to give him. And so then he kept saying, yeah, and once I get the money, I'm going to pay for you to be here, or I'll come to you and we're going to make this work and all of this crap. So I then spoke to my mum about giving him some money. She was like, no, I'm not giving him money. But then, me being a teenager, like, you're breaking my heart. You're stopping me from being with the person I love because you won't do this. So she ended up giving him like £300 or something,
Oh my God.
400 maybe, which obviously is a heck of a lot of money to someone that she's like, he's just going to run off with this money. But she didn't want to say that to me because she knew that in my mind she would be the bad guy. So what happens is he took the money and never spoke to me again.
Mad, eh?
Well, it's nice to go out on a high.
Do you know
Oh
what?
my God.
I know this person and
What, the waiter? Makes a lot of sense, actually. Sounds like the kind of guy you go for.
Me and him are in cahoots.
Yeah. He's probably got a fucking knife on him just in case you try and give him another love bite.
Please, Rachel, stay back.
I told you, do not do that again.
But yeah, so I remember this happening at the time, and I asked this person for this submission because I just was like, it's like such a stereotype, isn't it, of being like, you know, having to send money and all this kind of stuff and not hearing
and honestly, that is like, you know, it starts off as a wee bit of harmless fun, wee flirting with a waiter.
A little
Next
walk.
thing you know, he's stabbing some guy that's talking to you and you need to fucking Monzo him 300 quid or whatever.
Monzo. Yeah, I know.
That is
mad, isn't it? I really
crazy.
enjoyed seeing your reactions.
I mean, I was just worried where it was going to go. I'm like,
you were
know,
invested.
I'm like, oh no, the sister's there and there's a knife. You know, I mean, to be fair, he does work in a restaurant. You know, I can understand.
Maybe he's doing a wee julienne chop.
Maybe he just forgot to put it back in the kitchen. You know, he just happened to have it on him, and then you know things. I don't know, but I know it kind of to me sort of justifies everything I was saying before about like, you know, don't get with these waiters and all that, because like think how many people he must have done that quite a few times and all that. Do you know what I mean? And then forget about just hooking up with him on the beach, whatever. Think how many times he's done that with the money. Do you know what I mean?
So when that happened, I remember at the time like hearing about it, and you know, it's just like it's red flag after red flag, isn't it? But at the same time, I do think that you need to remember like the age being a factor, because you know, you do kind of really convince yourself of these big love stories, and you do kind of convince yourself of like being like, this is my soulmate, or like this is, you know, this is the person that I should be with. And I think, you know, we have the advantage of age and experience now that we can be on our little, sitting in our living rooms or whatever, chatting about dating and being like, oh, that was a red flag, that was a red flag. But at the same time, like when you're young, like you don't know, or you really convince yourself that, you know, that it is the way that you want it to be. And so like, yeah, absolutely no judgment in that story. Like, but imagine just being in that scenario and just being like, I can't believe it's come to this. That's
no way to go out. I think we do have one other submission that we can play. I think to maybe lighten the mood after that quite horrifying ordeal that
Are you okay, Mark?
I'm fine. I'm concerned about the listeners' well-being. You know, I don't want to set them off for the summer, no wanting to get remedy in case, you know, they pull a knife out on them and then ask for 300 quid.
Yeah.
So I think we should set us off with a bit of a more positive story that we've got here. It might not start off like that, but it does get better. So, and this was just one involving a wee holiday romance, and we'll have a listen to round us off for this episode.
My holiday romance started 2 years ago, unbeknownst to myself. So basically, I've been working abroad for the past few years in like a small team, and basically it's inevitable that everyone couples up during the summer. But this year I was like, no, I just got out of a breakup and I was not really feeling like I wanted to get into another relationship anytime soon. And basically, because everyone had coupled up, me and this Italian guy, we were the only two left. So we just kind of like became really good friends, and we'd hang out, and I was literally like, we are friends. And I didn't realize that he was sort of like catch feelings. Basically, we were all out on a day out, having a lovely day, all the team. And then we were driving back on his motorbike on this like beautiful coastline. It was just me and him, and I was just loving it. The sun was starting to set. It was just so beautiful. It was like out of Mamma Mia or something. And he pulled over at this beautiful spot where you could like see the sunset perfectly. And I was like, oh, why is he pulling over here? We get off, and basically he just turned around to me and he goes, if I spend any more time with you, I'm gonna fall in love with you. And I was just like, what? And I was like, please don't, please, because I'm not looking for anyone. Like, oh, and I just felt so terrible because he just looked so crushed, and it was like, it was the most beautiful surroundings we were in, and I literally had just crushed this guy it was horrible. And then we just got on the bike to go back, and it was just the most awkward bike ride, and like I was trying to not touch him with my legs. It's just so awkward. But there was a happy ending to this because now we're in a relationship and have been for the past 2 years. So it did work out in the end.
That's nice. I do think there's so much pressure, isn't it? Especially if you're in like a beautiful, beautiful environment of like it turning into something romantic.
Well, my question is, right, because like how much more could you want, right? You're on the motorbike, like she's saying, it's like something out of Mamma Mia, despite the fact that's one of the worst films ever made. But it's I'm not saying. But it's like, this cool Italian guy, he's taking you back on the motorcycle. He stops at this, beautiful scene, with the hills or whatever the fuck it was. And then he says a pretty suave line, I would say, as well, if I spend any more time with you, I'm going to fall in love with you. If at that point that doesn't convince you, I want to know what won a round after that, because that's fucking hard to top. Do you know what I mean? It's also a shame because it's like, some people think like, oh, I'll just do this big romantic gesture and that'll be enough. You couldn't get a more perfect romantic gesture than that, and she was still like, nah.
I'm going to interject though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you say this, but what if it was you? So what if you're not looking for anything, right? And it's like this perfect night, I don't know what your equivalent would be, right? But say it's like a beautiful night. It would just
be exactly that.
Okay, exactly the same
Italian
scenario.
Guy saying it, and I would be like, hey man, sweep me off my feet, what can I say?
But you know what I mean? Like sometimes you get in your own heads about, you decide that you're not looking for anything. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's true. No, I mean, no, fair. I'm kidding on there, but it's funny because you do wonder at what point, like,
it sounds pretty perfect.
You wonder what point, like, she actually swung the other way and went, actually, do you know what? He is. I do like him. Actually, I do want to get with him. I would hope that still played a factor in it, like that, very romantic scene.
I think it's...
She maybe like what I was saying earlier on about, like, when I sort of, got back for that holiday and then didn't, like, said no at first. Kind of that is basically kind of a covenant, I suppose. Yeah. And then I kind of changed my mind. So maybe it's similar to that. But I just thought that's a nice wee story and a nice wee ending that, these holiday romances, they can work out after all.
It sounds like a perfume advert, doesn't it? Like it sounds like one of those ones where you're like, ooh, and it's like Italian and you see the blue water and all that kind of stuff. I think it's interesting as well that it's that thing of, when everyone kind of couples up, and it's that kind of, that kind of puts a pressure. So if everyone's coupled up and then you're the only single ones, there's almost that thing of being like, well, we might as well just couple up. And I found that in my early 20s, often when me and my flatmate would go on nights out, if I thought she was going to get with a guy, I would get with the friend, even if I wasn't really that bothered, or really if I wasn't really that interested in the friend. Mm-hmm. And then what would happen would be, she wouldn't have got with the guy, she would come back, I'd have been getting off with the friend that I probably didn't even really want to get off with, and then I'd be like, oh, did you get off with him? Because obviously it's like me and you getting off with them, and she'd be like, no. And I'd be like, oh, I thought this was a thing, I thought that's what we were doing. And she was like, that is not a thing, that is not what we were doing. And I'd be like, oh, okay, well, I have misread this situation.
Yeah. Try to take the bullet and then, it turns out it's unnecessary, basically.
Yeah, that happened numerous times.
Sure. I know. It's a nice wee thought, isn't it? A wee nice romantic European, landscape and all that sort of stuff. And I just thought that seems like a more appropriate place to end not only this episode but the entire series. We're giving people a nice wee thought of maybe what can happen in the not too distant future, whether it's this summer or a wee bit after, as things start to open up and obviously we hopefully have some kind of decent summer, and hopefully we can all go out there and experience a wee bit of life again and a wee bit of dating again, and maybe we might just be so lucky to have those sort of romantic moments as well. Who knows?
Yeah, riding off into the sunset, either with someone or with all your pals, having a hot girl summer, whatever you want this summer,
Yeah, or at the very least, getting a wank in the back of a bus or something.
We
a
can
couple
dream.
of love bites, couple of love bites. So I think that about covers it for holiday romances, and that does then wrap us up for this series of Debating Dating. So I'd like to thank everybody who's listened to us the whole way through. As ever, you can still subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to us right now, and please do remember to give us a 5-star review and just share it with your pals and all that sort of stuff over the holidays. We'll still be sharing clips on social media and things like that, so do just share it with people you can if you've enjoyed it. Point people if you think they'd like it in the right direction, and hopefully we can grow. Even if we're not putting out some more episodes for the time being, can still grow over the summer and come back bigger and better than ever.
Should we
What,
do you want me to say my slide
Yeah.
into the DMs? I know, but are we saying that?
Right enough. I
There's no point.
because I was waiting for you to say, if you want to slide into it. Do actually though, if you've got stories, listen.
Yeah.
See, as you live life again, right? These restrictions are getting looser and looser by the week. You're going to be back out there, you're going to be meeting people again, you might even be going on holiday. As these things happen to you and you go, that was a belter of a story, my mates found it hilarious, who to tell but us? And how can you do that, Rachel?
You can do it by sliding into our DMs.
Correct.
Feel free to just slide into our DMs, send us all your amazing stories. We just really hope that you guys will have a really lovely summer, and we're so excited to get back to season 2. But we're just so grateful for everyone just like listening and engaging, and just continue to do it because we'll still be here. We'll just be on our summer holidays. But feel free to send us a little message on our Instagram, which is @debatingdating, or you can send us an email to debatingdatingpod@gmail.com.
So thanks so much for listening throughout this whole series, guys. Have a brilliant summer, and we'll speak to you soon.
Bye!